Welcome to Senate Transportation Committee. Today is Tuesday, April 9th. We're going to talk about the Transportation Bill 868, but I wanted to just recognize that this is the first day in 39 years that Senator Dick Mazza has not been in the Transportation Committee. I think it was 37 years ago or 35 years ago that he's been sitting in this chair as chair of this committee. And so it's a monumentous day for the Senate, for Vermont, and for this committee in particular. So we just wanted to recognize that we miss Senator Mazza greatly and recognize his long service sitting in this committee. I feel like we kind of need to leave the chair vacant forever, but at some point maybe. But this is Dick Mazza's chair. So unless anybody else wants to say anything about that, we will move on.
I just, I learned a lot from him in a short amount of time. I was with him both in transportation and institutions, and if you wanted to listen, you could learn a lot, and I learned a lot. So I appreciate Senator Mazza, and we'll miss it.
Thanks, likewise.
He's taught me a lot in this role, and I'm really glad to have had 3.5 years with him. And I also want to make posters of his board.
And you can see how many of them are with me.
I know.
So you see me age. I've been on this.
There's a lot of rumors about that.
Yeah. I mean, look at me with Brian Doobie.
Yeah.
My God, we look like college. Now what do I look like? Nursing home.
The gift shop.
You know, the one thing, I've been on this committee, when I came to the Senate in 2005, my first term, I did not serve on this committee, but starting in 2007, I've been a member of the Transportation Committee with Senator Mazza. Not only have I sat beside him here, but I sit beside him in the Senate chamber. And so, as I said, I probably spend more of my waking hours with Senator Mazza than I maybe have spent with my family. So the empty chair is kind of symbolic, not only here, but on the Senate floor as well. So it's.
He did a good job of making it like a family. I thought.
Yeah.
We do spend a lot of time.
We do. He even gave me gardening gloves to improve the condition of my hands, look like a field hand. So, no, he was always very thoughtful in that regard, on a personal level as well.
Okay.
He didn't do much for our waistline, so.
He took us well fed.
Yes, he did.
And laughing a lot.
Yeah.
So we will miss him. But as he would want, we will continue working for the state. So in that vein, we're going to talk about 868. Our legislative counsel, Jennifer Harvey, is here to go through the final draft, or maybe the final draft.
Great. Good morning, Jen Garvey from the Office of Legislative Counsel. So yes, I think you have both a draft with some highlighting on it and the clean copy. Thank you for the copies. So draft 3.1 still has some markup in it just to show you what has changed from your last draft. It's not a lot of changes.
3.1, I've got 3.2.
3.2 is the clean draft. I think you may have both.
I do.
Okay, so if you're curious what the changes are, they're highlighted, or maybe highlighted in gray, but in the 3.1 version, and then 3.2 is the clean version of the same. So the changes really are on pages, start on page 7 at the bottom of the page. It was pointed out that we had a numerical typo of 2 million instead of 200,000 for the Mileage Smart program.
Oh, yes.
So important to fix that. And then on page 8, this is the new section reflecting the language that the chair had talked about around the Agency of Transportation's heating systems. And I don't know, Mr. Chair, if you want to speak to that, or if you want me to just review what the language says.
Okay.
So you're asking the agency shall report?
Well, the problem is that they weren't reports. So it's not gratuitous because you couldn't find this data. They were not reporting it.
Is it hard to report?
They're not reporting to us, I'll point out. the reporting to BGS, so that BGS can include that data in their updated state energy plan.
Oh,
So I'm just helping BGS out. It's really just-
I'm looking at that, and my position has evolved. They're not
I won't
reporting
make you
that.
put on record that you support a report. I won't.
No, basically what you're saying is that they, just like any other agency or department, they are reporting, must be another word, in terms of how they have contributed toward the thermal energy targets that we have, so.
And this, the language
And you
in,
haven't been, is that it? They have not been reporting?
well, not that I could find.
We were recording and then something happened and then we weren't, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
But you should be,
We should,
because you are
We
part
are happy
of,
to.
you are part of the state of Vermont.
Right.
absolutely.
That's Michelle.
For the record,
For the record.
our agents.
And that, in the,
Every other year.
the language here is from the state energy plan. So the 35% and 45% aren't numbers I came up with, that's what it says in the plan.
It says shall strive.
And right, they're striving and talking to Michelle, they think they could already be at the 45%, so it could be an easy
Oh, let's
thing to go.
declare a victory in homage to George Aiken.
And the wording in 1 and 2 is both basically cut and pasted from the energy plan, just that they're already supposed to be doing. And then just that they can make, so we make sure that we're knowing where we are with that. I'll let the agency or the BGS know, and then BGS will include it in
So-
their update.
Is institutions looking at that BGS reporting?
BGS has been updating their every 2 years as required, but then there, in the older versions, they're with each agency, like transportation, others that own buildings, Forest and Parks would give the data to BGS, and BGS would include that in there, but that wasn't included in the last update. So I don't know if they're,
My question is, what does BGS do? Do they report, do they do something to,
They have to come to us before they replace any type of,
do you get the report relative to
they do,
the target?
I think they just publish it, I don't think it's a legislative,
Oh,
right,
okay,
it's not even right, it's not a report.
All right. That's,
it's kind of like the comprehensive energy. And then it's part of the comprehensive energy plan, every 6 years when we do the comprehensive energy plan, the state energy plan is part of that. And they're supposed to update it every 2 years. But I think they just basically.
I just wanted to know if there was a report that I hadn't met, that I missed and hadn't read.
We could get you a copy.
Thanks. I think this looks fine. Seems like it's just something that inadvertently got discontinued, and I think it makes it.
And the agency is supportive of the language, is that right?
Yes, we are.
So that's that.
And then the only other change is, and the whole section is still highlighted, but it's really just a few words. On page 12, the one-time funding for Green Mountain Transit. We had put language in last time in the implementation provisions in subsection D, talking about this being one-time bridge funding. While Green Mountain Transit stabilizes its finances, we added adjusts its service levels and then transitions to a sustainable funding model. So that's it. So if you look at 3.2, it's
That was.
all the same stuff, but without the
Make
highlight.
sure.
Looks good.
So the mileage is the change on page 7 about mileage smart dollar amount, that's in section 2, that's just the update of all the things we're doing, right?
Right, that's just in the description of,
Because I got a message from Mileage Smart folks wondering if we could change the eligibility for this program, because they said the money is going very quickly. The plan, we changed in VA, remember we gave them more money so that they could get to what we thought was gonna be in the fall when some EPA money was gonna come in. And 2 things, we don't know when that'll happen, and we don't even know, do we know if we're good, if the agency's gonna get that EPA money?
It would be the Agency of Natural Resources, and the application was just submitted last week, so.
That's
yet to
pretty
be determined.
competitive. That was the 100 million or something.
Yes.
And I think they'll get some, but we don't know how much would end up going to Mileage Smart at this point. So Mileage Smart, the program operators thought if we could slow it down, they didn't want to slam on the brakes and like cut the incentive in half, but they thought if we could really just give it to the people that most need it. So right now it's 80% of medium income and like lower it to 60, have some flexibility to restrict it a bit, or 70%. But right now it says it shall be 80%. And so the suggestion was say up to 80%. So the agency would have more flexibility. We gave them the flexibility on the dollar amount. So the agency could change it from 5,000 to 4,000, but they can't change the income eligibility.
So you want up to or prioritization of?
Just up to 80% instead of 80%. But I didn't, so one of my questions was,
But then, okay, but so what they would do, they would prioritize and
they would decide what,
level?
which is what we did. Remember, originally we did the dollar amount too, but then we said that's, so they can move it around. We got rid of that.
I mean, do we want language that priority would be given to applicants with, I don't know, household income?
I don't know how they would do, I don't know if we want to say give priority, because then they have to do like a competitive,
I
they have
know,
to see all the
I know.
applications.
That's
We're
a
doing on a
difficult-
first come, first served basis.
So,
And I think as we're trying to build the
They-
market,
they
support
might-
the dealers that are gonna buy these cars at auction so that they know the money will be there to
it's probably
provide.
better to allow, and they could adjust it. If the take-up turns out to be less, they could move it on, so they could, yeah. Should we put that in here?
Yeah, so that was, I had thought they had sent me language, but what they sent me was like 8 pages of language.
Oh, my God.
It was just the section, because what's happening in the bill, I believe, is that we are codifying Mileage Smart in the bill. And so there's like on page 2 or 3, page 5, and the last page where it says 80%, it would change it to up to. So you'll see some red markup
On that
there.
thing that I
What you
sent.
said?
Yeah,
Oh, did
see
you?
that, yeah.
Okay.
Is it, I'm trying to find it in the bill.
Yeah, where is it in the bill?
Not in the bill or in the language?
Well, the what I sent, I thought was what was in the bill. Sorry, it's been a little bit of a last minute scramble.
Did you send that today?
I sent it just this
Yes,
morning.
just before we
And I
started.
sent it to Jen also.
Just to Jen or?
No, to both of us. I think it may,
I don't see it.
I'm trying to see if it's one of the things that came out.
You can try to find.
Can you share
I
that?
can't remember if the Mileage Smart is already in.
Oh, this is in the, this is section 2 is just kind of the inventory of how we're investing in carbon reduction.
Yeah, it's not the
So I don't
section
think this
2.
is the right section. Electrify
I
you.
don't see.
Maybe maybe that's what was from session law. And the markups were just to the spots where the 80% was referenced.
I'm even finding 80% in the big draft.
Yeah,
Number
apparently
2.
it's not in here. I had thought.
Well, on page 2, number 2, let's say provide not more than.
From what I sent you, yeah.
Well, this is what Paul sent me yesterday.
Oh, what Paul sent you. Okay, same.
There's no markup on that. It's
Don't
8
think-
pages and it says it's for Act 479.
Yeah,
This is like the original.
that's the original session law, I think.
Section 2 is just that inventory.
This is a different, we're
It's not
looking at a
different
different piece of paper.
Oh, you are?
We didn't print that. This is the Mileage Smart session language.
Yes.
And on page 2, so B2, which comes on page 2, it says with an adjusted gross income that is up to 80%. So this says that up to.
So this is
Yes,
under
what I sent you
replace your
says that
ride,
too.
or
This is
mileage.
not replace your ride, this
This
is
is
not.
mileage.
So this was, but why is it 8 pages long?
Because that was what was in session law last year. And so I think they just like brought that reference point over for
What is it
you.
up to in session law?
No, that's why it's red.
It's not read on the thing Paul sent me, so.
Oh, it's red
I
on
didn't-
what Patrick sent. I sent you through Patrick. Did you get what I sent you?
I did,
That's weird. Let me re-forward it to you. And-
yeah, or is there any way maybe you can share, did you get it?
I did
I mean,
get it.
Jen.
Well, this would be in Okay, because this is getting into chapter 29.
Did get it. I don't know that any of this language is in
And it's,
868.
there's no, it's not in
Okay.
there.
I couldn't find it.
Yeah. Is it marked up? Do you have,
The one that I have,
yeah,
yes, is marked. It has the highlighting. Do you want me to?
yeah, you can share it.
Yes. I can.
I guess my Michelle blocker is working.
Don't let the secret out, because others may want to too.
Yeah, the only thing on replace your ride is page 27, section 11. And
Yeah.
for purposes an older, low efficiency vehicle, so I suppose we've got a section on replace your ride. We could maybe stick it in there.
Right, we could. So we had that thing in the section 2.
And here is the language that was provided. This is that same 8 pages, I think.
Right.
From last year, right?
And
Right, so that's what they want to change. So this was from the act that passed that said at or below 80%. So is at or below enough? Is that the same as saying up to?
It seems to me that's, yeah,
up to doesn't include 80%, at or below does. That's the only difference.
so they've got the flexibility
Yeah, so it seems like.
at or below.
Unless somebody put at or,
Paul Zabriskie.
unless somebody,
Well, Jen, can you help us from a legal perspective? Is why up to is better than or below?
maybe we should also verify that that is the language in Act 69. Act 62. Act 62, which was page 479.
Did we pass that last year?
Yeah, was it last year or was it?
Last year.
Last year. I mean, if we don't have to change it and if they have the flexibility under the existing statutory language, I would say it's a distinction without a difference.
Is there a fiscal note on this yet? Is it up on the web?
It's not finalized, but it's voted out today that they'll finalize it shortly.
62. It's the transportation bill.
Yes, it does have at or below 80% of the state median income.
So that's how it was passed.
Yes, that I'm looking at Act 6.
So it seems like at or below
It seems the same to me.
is then up to, so I don't know, I don't think we need.
And the only difference is just at or below means you can be at 80%. Up to 80% means you can't be at 80%.
Well, we're at 80% now, so you're running an illegal program.
No, because it's okay. Right now it's at or below, so 80% is okay. The up to
okay.
language would
Oh,
technically remove the
yeah,
80%.
okay.
If legally,
Yeah.
the language that exists in the statute, there's not a compelling reason to change the language, now's not the time to.
Okay. So we talked about the only changes we have, so I think at this point, we could entertain a motion to pass the bill unless there's other questions, or if you want to see the fiscal note.
I would move to pass the bill favorably with amendment.
Well, we're doing a strike call.
I would move, well, that's the amendment, right? It's a strike all amendment. So
Yes.
I move to pass the bill favorably with our amendment.
Yeah.
Is that wrong? I want to get it right. It's the right motion.
I think you can make sort of a combination motion that you move to adopt draft 3.2
That's
and
normally what we do.
yes.
We
and
voted the
move it
amendment.
favorably.
and then
Yeah, but you can do it as kind of one since it's a strike off.
Screwed it up. All right, I'd like to retract that motion.
No. Senator Ingalls, you gotta get out your pen,
Yep, I need a,
piece of paper.
You have one over there.
oh,
A record of action, I don't know about
Do you want a two-step vote on the amendment and then the bill favorably?
that. I have that.
We've never done that before, although I think subcommittees do that.
No.
Finance does that.
hold on.
So you also raise hands and not do roll, I like roll calls.
We don't do roll calls, we just do.
And we
voice votes.
oftentimes move it favorably as amended. I'll do it.
On your agenda.
No, but,
Oh, there we go, thank you. I gotta have something. These are cronies. So a motion's been made to, what Tom said. And, so,
Move draft 3.1.
yeah.
3.2.
3.2, sorry, I'm looking at 3.1.
And, are we all ready to vote? Senator Chittenden?
Yes.
Senator Kitchell?
Yes.
Senator Ingles is a yes. Senator Purchase?
yes,
So it's passed, 4-0-1, no, 4-0.
4-0, I think.
4-0-0. And, who wants to, you wanna be the reporter
I'll
for
be the
now?
reporter, but then we can maybe break up some of the sections. Well, it's not as long as it's been in other years.
So it's finance first and then approach. You will go to approach.
Yeah, it does, because we actually have to amend the budget to reflect the 1.7 change not happening and other $1 million.
Draft, what draft?
3.2.
3 point,
Right, so it'll be a while. So yeah, when I texted Senator White, I should have reminded her that she has even more time than I thought she had because it's going to go through two other committees.
yeah,
Okay. So then we,
3.2.
you take it.
You
I take it
just
up.
do have to
Right,
because,
as the reporter.
yep, there's the, you're gonna probably have to sign that, right? Sign
I'll sign it.
3.2.
They have a form.
Oh, do they have
When I
one?
get up there, okay.
Every time I go up there, I'm wrong, so. It's like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out someday.
Yeah.
Try.
I mean, too, it's like, I thought that's how we did it last time, no, I think they're just messing with me, but that's okay.
10 years.
So then, just to be clear on Knowledge Smart, the agency also has the authority to move money between programs, didn't we? Also give you that authority? So if one program was ending, let's say Replace Your Ride, you can move the last, whatever, 100,000
So
over.
we're monitoring it closely across all the platforms and working very closely with Capstone, this, risk group entity administering with us to make sure we balance trying to get to the objective of the EPA grant award if that occurs, which will then replenish everything.
And I liked the kind of the market building philosophy of the program of trying to work with the dealers and say, like, give them the confidence that this is gonna go on for a long time. Because if they're gonna go to Virginia at an auction and buy some cars, they wanna know that this incentive is still there. Trying to get people more comfortable with building that inventory on the used car market. We appreciate the participation of our dealers.
It's kind of crucial.
So is there anything else the committee would like to talk about? Is there anything the committee wants to put on the agenda? Because right now, we have a couple of people that we're gonna talk to haven't rescheduled or, so there was like the pavers wanted to come in and some civil air patrol, some things like that. So other than that, our schedule is basically cleaned up until we get to any amendments at the floor of this bill and conference committees on the miscellaneous.
Which actually is not bad, because morning committees are supposed to be shutting down, and our problem is the floor time is always scheduled to carve it out of the afternoon committees. So,
You and I, especially you, have a lot of people that want to meet with you, so this will give you some more time.
thank you.
Senator Cummings responded to the email regarding the amendment that's being drafted to this bill, and she said she might consider it this afternoon. Do you think this committee at some point should still weigh in?
What is it?
Yeah.
The amendment from Senator White to delay the implementation of these BEVs. Do you expect this committee to want to state a position on that amendment?
We will definitely stay a position on it when it comes up, but I guess it depends on if it's a floor amendment or if finance decides they want to take it out.
So for this afternoon, I'll just say this committee has not yet seen the language nor have they considered it.
But I do think it's important to let the other committee know that this was a topic of significant committee discussion relative to the transition plan and the importance of the revenue that is going to support the whole, the very goals that the carbon, carbon reduction plan is outlined. So it's not something that we haven't considered. It's something we considered and decided that by the time we got to implementation, we were moving, and probably with the California standards, that will
I think
accelerate
we've-
it even more.
I think we've heard plenty that, it's not like we have 20 people come in, but we've heard plenty that people want to pay. I mean, it's kind of, they're not willing
Well,
to wait.
Senator McDonald will be a big fan because he's had his freeloader bill, for a number of years, so.
He's up on so you're
Yeah,
gonna
so you
hear that.
can tell Senator McDonald that we heard him.
It's important to say we're directing the money to go towards chargers, and just yesterday, seeing the lines for charging stations in Chittenden County was enough to motivate me more of these.
And then motion. Second.